That's a nice strong. Yes. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Monmouth County. My name is Irene Passmore. My pronouns are she and her, and I currently serve as co-chair, along with Kat Grosso, of our caring committee. Whoever you are, whomever you love, however you arrived at this beloved place, you are welcome here. Our mission is to create community, transform ourselves, and transform the world. I draw your attention to the back of your orders of service for announcements and service information for next week. For those of you on the live stream and for video viewers, the order of service link is available to you in the YouTube service description box. I wanted to especially point out to you this week, just pay special attention to a workshop that we will be offering on Saturday coming up, June 6th, in the afternoon from 2 to 4. It's called What's Love Got to Do with It? And we may be familiar with Tina Turner's song, but this workshop is going to take you to other places. We will start with being led by Cheryl Bartholomew, who is a psychologist and professor. She's a member of our Tuesday morning Covenant Circle, a member at UUCMC, and that circle is sponsoring Cheryl as she presents this workshop, which she led last year at Brookdale and received such good feedback, we thought it'd be great to bring it here. So do come and join us. You'll have an opportunity to get your name on the list of those coming by buying your ticket. There is not actually a ticket, but just the special list with your name on it, offered today as you come into the community room. And tickets are $20. Everything, all the proceeds go to UUCMC. And we think it's going to be an inspiring and really enriching event, leading to some transformation that we are all expecting to have, and maybe even helping us transform the world in our own small way. You can also buy a ticket using this QR code if you're familiar with doing that at any point. You don't have to use the ticket purchase from our community room. And now PJ Caspar has an important announcement for us.
Thanks, Irene. Good morning, everyone. It's my pleasure and honor to introduce this month's Volunteers of the Month. And honestly, if you've spent any time here at UUCMC, this announcement will probably not come as a surprise. Today, we recognize and celebrate together Tom McCormack and Bruce Meltzer. For many years, yes. For many years, these two dear friends of our community have quietly become part of the emotional and joyful infrastructure of our congregation. Both together and individually, they have given so much to this community. Their time, talents, generosity, creativity, and probably more trays of food, desserts, and last-minute event contributions than anyone could possibly keep track of. At this point, I'm convinced that Tom and Bruce know every bakery, deli, liquor store, and restaurant owner in Monmouth County personally. They help create the warmth and spirit that make UUCMC feel like home. We see them hosting gatherings, supporting auctions, donating wonderful parties and events, enthusiastically bidding on everyone else's parties, helping create meaningful moments in our community room, and showing up again and again with kindness, humor, and positive energy. Tom has shared his extraordinary musical gifts with all of us, most recently displayed in the memorable performances of The Light Between, a modern cabaret. By his side, Bruce shares his support, hospitality, and generous spirit, helping to create the lovely pre-reception that many of you enjoyed. Tom and Bruce remind us that community is not something we talk about, it's something we create for one another. So on behalf of UUCMC, thank you, Tom and Bruce, for all the ways, both seen and unseen, that you enrich our congregation and our community. Congratulations to both of you. Thank you.
If you're new to us, please check out our website, uucmc.org, where you can sign up to get all the news of the congregation by email. We look forward to getting to know you better. And now please put your devices on silent as we enter into worship together, and welcome again to this place of love and hope.
This song, La Flor de la Canela, which means the cinnamon flower, by Isabel Granda, known professionally as Chabuca Granda. She was a Peruvian songwriter, composer, singer, performer, and she did a lot of work taking waltzes, what was from Spain, from Europe, and mixing her own influence into them. And the waltz was popular, I mean, it started in Europe, but popular all around the world. And so there's all different styles. The kind that made its way into South America are not as strict as the European ones, which just stay in three. It sort of lilts, it flows. And particularly recently, in the last few decades, she's really been honored. She's won some posthumous awards and cultural awards because she's done so much collecting and transcribing and composing her own. Chosen today for our focus on Peru and Craig's time there. This is one of her most famous, La Flor de la Canela.
I'm the Reverend Dr. Craig Rubano, and I'm pleased to greet you on this last Sunday in May, a month in which our congregational theme has been curiosity, and on a morning personal to me when I will report back from my sabbatical time away during a trip to South America, the continent where I spent my childhood, and in particular from time spent this past November in Peru, the location of three formative becoming years of my adolescence. A couple of announcements. Talk about becoming. Our credentialed Director of Family Ministry and Lifetime Faith Development, Michelle Mackenzie Creech, is in Chicago today, finishing a chapter of her life, as for the past several years she has taken coursework leading to her receiving today her Master of Divinity degree from one of the two accredited Unitarian Universalist seminaries in the world, Meadville Lombard Theological School. So we hold her in our thoughts, and we will celebrate her at the service on June 14th. But today in the community room there was a big card, and I hope we will all sign it to express our congratulations. Now, speaking of the 14th, not only is it a day when we celebrate those folks who have signed the membership book since last June, not only is it a time when we have a ceremony of bridging for our graduating seniors, not only is it a day when we participate in the annual ritual of flower communion, so everyone please bring flowers that morning, but June 14th is also a day we hold our annual congregational business meeting. And I want to make clear that while only members can vote at the meeting, all people are welcome. And I encourage everyone to put it on their calendar to attend. It's especially encourage families to be with us. The meeting is a wonderful way to be a part of what makes UUCMC UUCMC. And our congregation is made up of people of all ages. So it's a great time to have us all invest in the future of us. So please try to be there. And one last time, next week, June 7th, the service will begin at 9:30 a.m., after which, and that's why we start early, everyone is invited to join the UUCMC delegation at the 34th Annual Statewide LGBTQ plus Pride March in Asbury Park. Unlike what it says on the back of your orders of service, we will meet in front of the municipal building, and we'll get that changed for the E-Bless this coming week. This week I titled my Wednesday meditation, Together Becoming Ourselves. For as I engaged our theme of curiosity regarding my own becoming, I realized that it was in Peru that I feel things began to click into place for my becoming me. So in that vein, our call to worship, with the word worship containing its original meaning of a shaping concern for all that is of worth, comes to us from beloved American novelist, poet, essayist, environmental activist, cultural critic, and farmer, Wendell Berry. Specifically from the 7th novel in his Port William series, in which the eponymous Jayber Crow, almost become minister, but Port William's barber, looks back at his own becoming in a conversation with his mentor, a professor of New Testament Greek at Pigeonville College. Jayber says, "I had this feeling, maybe, I had been called." "And you may have been right," Dr. Ardmeyer said, "but not to what you thought, not to what you think. You have been given questions to which you cannot be given answers. You will have to live them out, perhaps a little at a time." "And how long," Jayber replies, "is that going to take?" Dr. Ardmeyer's answer, "I don't know. As long as you live, perhaps." So come, let us worship together. Every week we light in a flame and a chalice, symbol of Unitarian Universalism, to enact the reality as we understand it, that beautiful and resonant as this earth room sanctuary may be, as profound a welcome as the carvings of the world religions on this pulpit delivers, it is when we gather together that sacred space is created by our presence. I invite a sizable delegation of the Harbison Etrim tribe to light our chalice. We've got our board president, Tom. We've got Elizabeth. We've got Alice. We've got Benjamin. Thank you so much. Our chalice lighting words come to us from Craig Rowland, a member of the UU congregation of Salem, Oregon, where he is dedicated to, is it Rowland, did someone say? No, okay, Rowland. Anyway, he's dedicated to supporting a connected community there. So we light this chalice for the ones who arrived disheveled, carrying questions, contradictions, grief half-healed, and dreams still raw. You deserve a place that welcomes your becoming, that knows your fire is not too much, your silence not too little. A place that sees your shadows and still reaches for your light. You deserve a community that listens when you speak your truth, that sits with you in turmoil and rises with you in joy, and that believes in your voice even when it trembles. You deserve a circle that brings you hope and coffee and poetry, a place to rest, a place to rise. Let this flame be that place. Not perfect, but possible. Not without cracks, but full of light. Welcome home. Thank you. And now I invite us to rise in body and our spirit to sing our opening hymn, a song of becoming, originating in work camps of West Africa. It became a 1971 pop hit by the Afro-rock band Osibisa and was later arranged by Sweet Honey and the Rock. Its title is a word which in Ga, the Ghanaian language, means we are going or we keep going. Number 1020 in the teal hymnal and on the screens, Woyaya.
We are going, heaven knows that we are going, but we know within, and we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Woyaya, 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 woyaya. We are going. Heaven knows how we are going, but we know within, and we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Woyaya, 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 woyaya.
This morning I have a story called Grow Happy about a young girl named Kiko, in her own words. My name is Kiko. I'm a gardener. I grow happy. Let me show you how. I can grow happiness by making good choices. First, I choose a spot for planting. Not here. My dog Chico might dig up the garden. Not here. That's where my brother plays with his friends. I'll plant it here. The ground is soft and there's plenty of sun. Next, I pull the weeds, dig some holes, plant the seeds, and sprinkle the water. Look, it's starting to grow. I can grow happiness by taking good care of my body and mind. I'll come back every day to water, weed, and help my garden grow. Just like my garden, I need a lot of care. I need to exercise, eat lots of healthy food, and get plenty of rest to help me grow. My garden is beautiful, but it's not perfect. Sometimes the seeds I plant don't sprout. These leaves have spots on them. Last week, some deer ate the broccoli. Just like my garden, I have some bad times too. I pay attention to those feelings. I can grow happiness by working through problems and looking for solutions. When I have problems in my garden, I try my best to fix them. I can't change the weather, but if the air gets too cold, I can cover my garden in a cozy blanket. If I find bugs nibbling on my plants, I find the bugs something else to eat. Now they munch on bread crusts, not my garden. When I have problems in my life, I try my best to fix them too. Taking time to reflect and relax helps me think more clearly. Sometimes drawing a picture of how I'm feeling can help me handle a frustrating situation. I pay attention to my feelings and think before acting. If I hurt someone's feelings, I try to say I'm sorry. When my brother and I want to play with the same toy, I take turns with him instead of arguing. I can grow happiness by spending time with my family and friends. When I need help from my garden, my family and friends are here for me. Just like my family and friends help me with my garden, they can also help my happiness grow. When I have a bad day at school, my mom will make a snack that I like. When I can't get down from the monkey bars, my friend gives me a hand. When I have a math problem that I can't solve, my big brother will help me. Growing a garden is hard work, but look what it brings me. How do you grow happiness? I'll bet you can. I'll bet you can make good choices, take care of your garden and yourself. Know that neither you nor your garden is perfect. Pay attention to your feelings. Work through your problems to find solutions, and don't be afraid to ask your family and friends for help. So grow happy. You can do it. My name is Kiko, and that's my story. And now let's bless our younger people by singing them to their family ministry small groups with Go Now in Peace.
Every week in this congregation, we are provided with an opportunity to practice generosity. And maybe this is how we grow our happiness. This is your invitation to contribute to the well-being of our congregation and to our social justice partners through the good works of local organizations which receive half of the monies donated each month. Our Share the Plate recipient for May is Casa Freehold. Casa Freehold offers a number of programs to support the local immigrant community, including legal services, English as a second language classes, and food distribution. Through the National Domestic Workers Alliance, Casa Freehold is also active in the campaign for a nationwide Domestic Workers Bill of Rights. so that domestic workers are afforded the same basic rights as other employees. For those of you present here in the Meeting House, the plates are being passed by the ushers. Online, instructions are located in the service description box. You may join this time of generosity via text, send your offering by mail, or charge your contribution online with a memo designating an amount to Casa Freehold. Please give generously.
Hi, my name is David Schreier. My pronouns are he and him. I serve as Congregational Council Moderator. I stand before you on Lenape-Munsee territory that is encompassed by the Navissing Tract. On behalf of the Social Justice Committee, I ask you to consider participating in the boycotts you see listed on the back side of the order of service in the upper right corner. These companies have cozied up to the Trump administration too much to ever be considered politically neutral players and have helped cement it as the authoritarian regime within which we find ourselves. Economic boycotts work, obviously more so when in large numbers. In doing so, you need alternative choices or alternatives. Exxon is simple. Just go to another gas station. Amazon, not so much. However, there is bookshop.org for books. I've begun using them with some success. I recommend looking at ethicalconsumer.org. That's ethicalconsumer.org. And there's a section which you can Google ethical alternatives to Amazon, as well as other choices. Please do support this boycott in any way you can. Thank you.
"14 miles from the Pacific coast and about 120 miles north of Lima, Peru, what appeared to be the ruins of structures known to archaeologists as early as 1905, but devoid of pottery and gold, and so ignored for the next 90 years. There, in the foothills of the Andes, in the windswept Supe Valley, something amazing happened in the discoverable story of humanity becoming a people, of becoming a civilization. Extensive digging was done, exceptionally at the time by a woman, Peruvian archaeologist Ruth Solis, and carbon dating in 2001 established that Caral, the site named after the nearest town, Caral was the remnants not only of an ancient culture, but of one of the oldest civilizations in the world, completely rewriting the history of the Americas, pushing back the known origins of humankind in the region by 1,000 years. As early as 3,000 before the Common Era, so 5,000 years ago, predating the Inca by 4,500 years, and contemporaneously with the ancient pyramids of Egypt being built, a flourishing and peaceable city of 3,000 people lived on this largely ceremonial site alone, trading with at least 30 neighboring cultural centers, also now in the process of being unearthed. I start with this story because it captures something about the way we look at our own lives. When did we become the people we are today? What were the important steps of transformation when, from the idyllic days of childhood, a nascent human adult began to emerge? For the entire world and the story of the rise of humanity itself, one can no longer now fail to include the people of Caral. And poignant for its confluences with my own life, I cannot ignore a time when many of the traits I consider essential to my becoming took shape along that same desert coast of Peru. This morning, I share with you a second part of my sabbatical, with its stated goals of going back to my roots. You'll recall that on February 22nd, an uncharacteristic snow day, I shared part one of my sabbatical learnings derived from travel to England and Scotland. If you missed it, you can still see it at our YouTube library site, and I recommend it for the slideshow alone. Hopefully this morning will be as effective in letting you in on my journey backward in time. As you can see from the map embedded on the service slide, with from the left to right a sliver of green, a swath of brown, and another larger section of green, Peru is a country with three distinct climatic and geographic zones: an arid desert coastline, a lush and wide band of soaring mountains and deep valleys, leading to a southern border punctuated by the highest navigable lake in the world, and an extensive rainforest. In November, I wanted to go back to times when I had explored all those regions with my family during my childhood, this time introducing my partner Ron to them for the first time. When I was an adolescent, however, Caral wasn't yet on the world map. So making the arduous 5-hour land vehicle journey to its majestic setting was something quite extraordinary to me. Caral is a 150-acre site with 6 major stepped pyramids, the larger of them 3 football fields in diameter and 60 feet tall, constructed from reed-packed adobe with built-in seismic protection of mesh bags of pebbles, along with several circular plazas and many residential buildings. Also discovered on the site have been more than 30 flutes made from condor and pelican bones, carved with designs featuring animals from all 3 of Peru's major zones: fish, snakes, and monkeys, indicative of the trade that went on at the time. In a parallel fashion, if you did a dig into my life, you would find during my Peruvian period a similar concentration on music. But first, I want to share some of the adventures Ron and I had in November. Whether it was running the rapids in the sacred valley of the Andes, there I am, navigating the vastness of the Amazon in small motorized canoes, or rowing our way across Lake Titicaca in craft made from reeds, we definitely saw a number of bodies of water. The first was, of course, the Pacific, with the joy of showing Ron the coastal Mecca Miraflores in Peru's capital of Lima, where I had spent weekends with my friends, going to the movies, hiking down the cliffs to the piers, or eating al fresco in the parks. But in the city, wildlife was restricted mainly to, as you can maybe see from the picture, cats. Not so when we flew to the Amazon. There, from the city of Iquitos, the sole metropolitan area in the world reachable only by air or water, we spent little time getting from the plane to the water, taking the typical 3-wheeled mototaxis, a harrowing adventure in itself. In the rainforest, we became acquainted with many creatures, human and otherwise, including one young girl in the center of the screen who carried her pet on her back and who introduced us in due time to her sloth, Rosita. We can see the sloth there. Gorgeous. We also spent time with one of the world's largest rodents, the capybara. Here I'm trying to show one named Charlie the temporary tattoo of his likeness I had affixed to my forearm by a local shaman. I don't know if you can see. Sometimes we came across a new creature friend unexpectedly, like this 7-inch long smoky jungle frog, who we found right under our feet. Others we went in search of, like this last living relative from the dinosaur era, the massive 28-inch tall Hoatzin, which digests its food with a foregut, like a ruminant, and leads to it having an odor not in keeping with its majestic beauty. Others proved more elusive to cameras, like this 20-inch tall owl-like great putu, here blending in at the top of a post. Or a friendly catfish investigating who might be leaning in over the water. Or the unique to the Amazon freshwater dolphins, so fast that you could only catch a glimpse of their pink underbellies or see a plume of their blowing water into the air. Then there were the piranha, for which, believe it or not, there in a small craft floating in the Amazon, we went fishing. And I say, I'm proud, I caught 5. Even more unbelievable, perhaps, than my fishing for piranha in the Amazon was that we went back to our camp, cooked them, and ate them. They're yummy, but a lot of little bones. A lot of little bones. It's hard to describe the majesty of walking on rope bridges 150 feet in the air in the unique ecosystem of the rainforest canopy, seeing for miles and miles over the treetops. Or the thrill of being given private access to an island set aside for the preservation of monkeys. Monkeys that were rescued from the illegal rare animals black market trade. And that was just the rainforest. Our biggest adventures, perhaps, happened in the mountains and the so-called Sacred Valley, a special ecosystem giving rise to an astonishing biodiversity of flora and fauna alike, cultivated by people over the centuries using specialized terracing agricultural techniques. We thrilled in exploring the spectacular city of Cusco. I mean, that is just a place you don't want to miss. It's very high, however, so you have to pace yourself, but it pays to climb up to the tops of things because you get vistas like that. In more remote areas, we visited a school where the children tried to teach us their indigenous language of Quechua. We were also blessed with the specially prepared burnt offerings by a shaman. And we were the guests of a local family with whom we prepared, 'tis I there, mushing things up with a big heavy stone. We prepared and cooked a meal made in part disconcertingly from creatures we had only just met. And I'll do a little close-up on the pièce de résistance of our lunch there. Well, at least it has an apple in its mouth. We went to see curandero markets, where healer markets, where with vitally powerful ingredients on sale, like unborn llama fetuses, for instance. There they are. Oh, dear. And then, of course, there was Machu Picchu, where presented with this iconic view of its splendor and honoring in advance our May congregational theme of curiosity, Ron and I wondered, looking at the tall mountain across the way, wonder what's up there? Well, it turns out that a few people a day are given passes to make the rather daunting climb to its summit. We couldn't resist, and we made plans to do the trek early the next morning. What we hadn't counted on was some early morning rain and leftover, rather impenetrable fog. But up we went, even when sometimes the path was hard to find or when it got pretty scary. The fog began to lift, and we could see Machu Picchu way below us, even as we realized we were climbing into new ruins of the mountain we were scaling, a mountain known as Huayna Picchu. When 3 hours later we reached the top, we were presented with the surreal sight of the grandeur of Machu Picchu practically lost in the distance. I don't know if you can see, it's on the top of that first green, the entire of Machu Picchu. That's how far up we are. Along with the zigzaggy road up to to the site where we'd taken the bus earlier that morning. It was pretty spectacular up there, and we were pretty spectacularly exhausted. And then it occurred to us that we would have to go back down, but not the same way. And along the way, some new obstacles presented themselves, such as a little sliver of a gap in the mountain we would have to slide through backwards. I had Ron go first. Bye, Ron. He had to actually pull me out by my feet on the other side. When we returned to greet our traveling companions, we were met with applause for having reached the summit and returned to tell the tale. Now, when we glance at that mountain, we are chuffed to know some of its secrets. I don't know if you can see the ruins at the very top of it, which weren't visible initially, but which we discovered. Were there other trip highlights? So many, but a couple which rose to the top. Driving to a site high in the Andes, where for over 600 years, salt water, inexplicably, has been flowing from the side of a mountain and is conducted to the salt beds of maras, where it worked for centuries by individual families. And, look at that, where you can get some of the finest salt in the world. Or in the south of the country, on the border with Bolivia, on Lake Titicaca, where for centuries, indigenous peoples seeking refuge from the Incas have devised ingenious ways of survival, constructing an entire floating habitat made of the reeds that grow along the shores of this 12,500 in elevation lake. You can see the city of Puno in the background, but there, the Euros people still live on roughly 120 homemade islands, on which sit houses and to and from which they travel in boats. The boats also made from the same totora reeds. This led to us, of course, riding in one of those boats up on the high deck there. You can see the two of us, I think. We were glad, however, later in the day that we were on something sturdier when a squall broke out on the lake, and it was like Gilligan's Island. We started with the weather started getting rough. The tiny ship was tossed, but the minnow was not lost. We did get back. Or back in Lima, visiting the colonial neighborhood of Barranco, from where so much art and music has come during the 19th and 20th centuries, and where murals, here it's just a street in this gorgeous part of Lima, murals depict the contributions of many of those artists, including the singer-composer with whom we began the service, Chabuca Granda, there on the wall. Barranco also has some of the best restaurants in all of the world, utilizing the native ingredients that have made Peru again and again the source of continuing civilization. But of course, the primary reason we made the trip, and the reason I could navigate so smoothly throughout with my Spanish and my knowledge of the culture, is because I lived there during an impressionable time in my life, my earliest teens. It is in Lima that I felt a sense of home, whether walking the streets of downtown or the neighborhoods where I grew up, where whether you live there or not, you're never far from encountering the past. Like, for instance, a pyramid around the corner, right there in the neighborhood, from the top of which you can almost see the coast, even with the modern buildings partly blocking the view. I got to take Ron to my favorite churro joint, to the market where my family would do our fresh food shopping, and the lawn club where on weekends we would have tea while watching my father play cricket on the fields. One house where my family had lived was still standing, but with a rather tall neighbor having grown up in the interim, just behind. And then to revisit the international school, where not only my sister and I had attended, but where my parents worked. There we saw the gymnasium, where the staging of the first major play in which I had the lead took place. The classroom where I not only learned how to write a term paper, but where I discovered the contemporary Broadway music that eventually would take me to New York. Even my locker was still there. However, no longer. Since November, they have torn down that high school building. So I was so happy that we got to see it while it was still there. I'm sure you remember your own early teens with all of the fraught notions of how a normal boy or girl or young person of any gender should act, how they should walk, or how they should hold their school books. Not like this, you know. The pressures to fit in, Luckily for me, having kids from over 40 countries around the world represented in the student body gave me a lot of examples of so-called normality. And the experience gave me the sense that people really can get along across the kind of boundaries, cultural, linguistic, and religious that so often divide. This has led directly to my call to ministry. It was in Peru that I did work with several churches, which led people asking me repeatedly whether I had ever considered becoming a missionary, being a church camp counselor for the youngest kids, leading youth groups on the guitar. Ron and I attended worship at the Anglican church where my family attended services, and at whose theater I first helped direct a musical, The Storytelling Man. I actually remember he was a storytelling man. Anyway, but the biggest thing that happened to me in Peru, maybe the most life-changing thing that ever happened to me, period, was when the mother of a friend of mine asked me to sing in the choir of another English-speaking church near where I lived. Although I had been in a lot of plays, I played the piano and the guitar and the trombone, I had never sung at all. And at that church, and there it is, following the first rehearsal for a Christmas cantata, she asked me to stay after, and she had me sing with her. I'll never be able to describe what happened that afternoon. It was almost like something possessed me from the inside, or perhaps was summoned through me from the universe. But from that day, I was the kid who sang. Singing became my superpower. It allowed me to tap into a courage I never thought possible, and it shaped much that has happened to me thereafter. What did I learn on my sabbatical? Well, so many things. But as Ron and I returned to the States, part of what I knew more vividly than I had before is that while the process of becoming is certainly long and never-ending, there are moments which are so formative that they can't be subtracted from a life without significantly altering who you ended up having become. Peru is one of those places, one of those periods for me. Peru is the place where I developed the courage to be me. And for that, I am so grateful. You know when you have an idea you think will be sweet, and for which later you wonder if perhaps you might have lost your mind? Although singing has been my superpower, only once in my life did I ever attempt to write a song, and it was, you guessed it, in Peru. Well, only recently, literally in the last couple months, I found the sheets of my childhood stationery on which I had written the lyrics with several grammatical errors, much to my horror, along with guitar chords for the song I entitled Courage. So, I'm not a guitar player, but I beg you to join me in having some retrospective patience for my younger self as I dare to share with you my teenage composition. Throughout the many years gone past, a theme of life is there, a cause of brag and selfish pride, a cause of awe and stare. Must it be a momentous feat of danger, risk, or doubt? Or can it be a simpler thing? What's it all about? What is courage? It's a feeling wanted by all. Courage, the humble standing tall. A little girl walking down a dark and narrow hall. The ailing man who tries to walk, though he might fall. An eagle on a mountaintop defending for its mate. A weary soldier fighting on, who doesn't know their fate. That is courage. It's a feeling wanted by all. Courage, the humble standing tall. That is courage. It's a feeling wanted by all. Courage, the humble standing tall. And though the time it goes away, the old man has courage to start a new day. Aw, bless him. I invite us into a time of prayer and meditation with words written expressly for this month's congregational theme of curiosity by longtime UU minister, the Reverend Dr. Michelle Collins. Source of love and deep questioning. You move in the restless parts of us that ask, what else is true? Thank you for the spark that keeps us from going numb, for the inner tilt of the head, and the heart that reminds us to look again. Awaken in us a curiosity that is kind, not cruel, that seeks understanding rather than judgment, that can say, I don't know, without shame. When habit narrows our vision, widen it. When cynicism hardens our hearts, open them with wonder. Let our days be filled with small discoveries, and our lives shaped by learning that never ends. Amen. In a memorable turn on The Muppet Show, remember The Muppet Show? Harry Belafonte collaborated with Jim Henson to create African masks and to sing a song that has ended up in our teal hymnal. The way Belafonte describes his creation of the song, he was deep in the interior of Guinea in Africa, in a little village. He met with a storyteller who went way back in African tradition and mythology to tell of the fire, the sun, the water, the earth, pointing out that the whole of these things put together turns the world around. That each of us is here for a very, very short time, and that there really aren't important differences in any of us if we took time out to understand one another. The question is, do I know who you are or who I am? Do we care about each other? Because if we do, we can turn the world around. But there's a word in the song in an unknown language, and curious minds, being what they are, folks wanted to know where it came from. Well, much later in his career, and after the song appeared in our hymnal, Mr. Belafonte discovered that what he understood as an expression of joy, a word he thought he had remembered from his Jamaican childhood, is actually a homophobic slur. He was horrified and urged that the word no longer be included in its singing. So there's a lesson in all of this. First, sometimes curiosity brings answers that discomfort. Answers that can cause us to shift our ways of behaving, beloved though those ways once may have been. We have to be open to learning the lessons that come from our curiosity and to change. That's one of the ways that together we can, in the words of the song, turn the world around. So, I invite us to rise in body and our spirit to sing our closing hymn. It's number 1074 in the Teal hymnal, but please pay attention to the slides as they no longer include the word in question. Turn the world around.
It's a quick intro. It's a calypso tune where it's 3 and then 2, so that's it, and then we'll come in. Okay, I'll try and be clear. We come from the fire, living in the fire. Go back to the fire, turn the world around. We come from the water, living in the water. Go back to the water, turn the world around. We come from the mountain, living in the mountain. We go to the mountain, turn the world around. Whoa, so is life. Oh, so is life. Oh, so is life. Ah, so is life. Do you know who I am? Do you know who you are? See we one another clearly. Do we know who we are? Oh, so is life. Oh, so is life. Oh, so is life. Ah, so is life. Water make the river, turn the world around.
Our closing words of benediction come to us from Senior Minister of the First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis, Minnesota, a short poem of his entitled, Awake and Curious. Knock on wood. Does it remember drinking spring rain? Does paper recall the bleaching vat? Things lean closer when we notice and stop being things. A bird has a biography and a song forged by weather and distance. Lean in, listen, hear. Let us go in peace to bless the world.